What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to extend the search we did in the last video and use Algolia. Algolia is a service that greatly improves the user's search experience, adding features like extremely fast search, results as you type, typo detection, and so many more features. You've probably used it before. Here are a few sites that use it. So the Laravel documentation uses it here. Laracast uses it. You just search for a lesson. SQL. Tailwind uses it in their docs. And so many more other sites. Now, there's a few different plugins available that all do search but have different use cases. There's instant search. And here's an example here. Let's see. Actually, no, it's back here. They have an e-commerce site that sort of looks like Amazon, and it instantly searches as you type and gives you results. There's an autocomplete, and this just has a sort of drop down of results. So this one has NBA players, and this is the one we're going to be using. And there's also doc search, which is pretty similar to autocomplete, but it specializes in documentation. And several sites use it, like Stripe, Bootstrap, Vue. Actually, if you look at Laracast, Laracast has both types. Laracast has the autocomplete up here. So if you search for Algolia, but if you press enter without selecting one, then it uses the instant search, which is dedicated for more than just the autocomplete of a dropdown. It has stuff like filtering and more features. But for this lesson, we'll just focus on the autocomplete. So in order to work with Algolia, we have to put the data we want to be searchable in what they call an index, and that lives on their servers. So if you're paranoid about your data being on a third-party service, then you probably shouldn't be using this. Another reason they need it on their servers is because their servers are highly optimized in order to produce the really fast queries. So there's two steps. Step 1 is to put our data on their servers, and step 2 is to use their JavaScript API to work with the indexed data on our site's front end. For step 1, putting the data on their servers, this is essentially what Laravel Scout is for. Its responsibility is to put our data onto Algolia and keep it in sync every time we make changes to our model. So let's go ahead and install Scout. So let's go to the installation here. Let's composer require it. And then we can publish the config using this command after it's done. Okay, let's publish the config. And that just made a new config scout file. And now we just have to add this trait in our model. So let's go ahead and do that. So the model is our product, and we already did this in the other search, but this time we're going to be using Algolia. So a searchable trait is from the other video. We'll try to leave it and use both at the same time. Hopefully that works. Alright, and make sure we import it. I could have just did this. Okay, what's next? Yeah, you should queue it. It'll be more faster, but we're not going to do it in this instance. Take a look at my Laravel Horizon video if you want to know how to use queues. So we are going to be using Algolia, so we have to install this client. Sorry, I forgot to make my font bigger for you guys. It's bigger now. Now let's take a look at that Scout config. And we're using Algolia. And we need to enter these into our environment file. And I'm going to do that behind the scenes so you don't see my credentials. And this allows our Laravel app to push up an index to Algolia. Okay, now we need to push our products table data from our database up to Algolia. So before we do that, let's just take a look at the documentation for Scout. So this method, searchable as, it just lets you specify the index name on Algolia. By default, it's just going to use the table name. So in our case, it's going to be called products. But if you want to change it, you can use this. The next is this method, toSearchableArray. If you don't want to push up all the fields, for example, let me just open my database here. If you don't want to push up all of these fields, for example, you don't want to push up the created that and updated that, then you can specify an array of fields to return here. But in our case, I'm just going to push everything up. And also, should be searchable will only push up certain data based on this. So for example, I don't have this field yet in our products, but if this were a real app, I'd have a column called quantity, and we don't want the product to be searchable unless the quantity is greater than 0. So we would add this method and do return this quantity greater than 0, and Scout will take care of only pushing up those models that satisfy this condition. But in our case, we're just going to push everything up since it's just a demo app. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, we do PHP artisan scout import and specify the model. So app product. Okay, it says it's been imported. Let's take a look if that index is in Algolia. So go to indices and indices, and there it is, products. And there's 84 records here. Let's see if there's 84. Yep, there's 84. And Laravel Scout is smart enough to know if we added a new one, if we edited one. So let's go ahead and just go to our admin, and we'll add one and then we'll edit one just to see if Algolia picks up on that. So min. Okay, so I'm going to add a new product. In Voyager here. Okay, let's do Samsung Galaxy S9. Samsung Galaxy S9. The new phone. Actually, I already did this in my other project, so let's make it $999.99. The latest flagship phone from Samsung. And yeah, we'll make it featured. Image. Let's have an image here. And it is a mobile phone. Oh, I don't know why this is required. Let me just put the same image. And I guess I made these required too. Let me just do this. I don't think this works, but whatever. I just want to put it in there. Okay, so that's in there. Should be in there. There it is. And let's see if Algolia picked up on that. So products, and there it is right there. If you could see, there's 85 records now. This is the one we just added, and we can use it here and just search for Samsung, and this is the details we just entered. Okay, now let's check if editing works. So let me edit this. And let me edit. Hopefully Algolia sees. Okay. Let me just save this. I don't know why it's asking for validation. I mean for an image. Okay. And check Algolia. And refresh this. There you go. So Algolia picks up on it. Cool. Now let's specify the fields we want to be searchable. For example, even this is searchable right now, which makes no sense. See? So if you go to ranking, we only want name, details, and maybe description to be ranked or searchable. So name and the highest has the most priority. Details and description. And for ranking, this is based on sorting. So maybe we can specify the price for that. Cool, we can save that. And now if you go back, this is no longer searchable because we specified which fields we want to be searchable. Alright, so now everything is configured in Algolia. The next step is to get this working on our application using the JavaScript API. Now, there's drivers for the major frameworks like React and Vue. And again, I'm really tempted to use Vue, but I'm just going to stick with vanilla JavaScript for this. And maybe in a future video, I'll switch it over to Vue. Okay, we're going to use this demo, like I showed you earlier, as a base because it looks pretty good already, and we'll just modify it after this. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Okay, we don't need to do this because this is already done using Laravel Scout. That's sort of the backend portion. And that's the same. Okay, so here is where the markup is. Actually, we have to add, let's add the JavaScript first. So let's grab this. And I need to put it in those views again. So there's 4, I believe. So shop 1, product 2, cart 3, and the actual search page. Let's just search for laptop 4. Okay, so we have to add the JavaScript and the CSS on those pages. Okay, so start with shop.blade, and new section, extra.js, and let me just paste that in. And I'm also going to make a custom one. Actually, that should have src as well. And that's going to go to I'm just going to put it in the public folder and call it algolia.js. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go to the public folder. We can put it in resources assets.js and use npm to compile it, but for this purpose, I'm just going to put it in the public file. Where is the public? There it is. JS, and let's make a new one. Algolia.js. And I like to do this. Okay. So shop, what's next? So let me just copy this because we're going to use this for all 4 of those views. So shop, product, just put it down here, just indent that, cart, and then search results. Cool. Okay, now we have to do the same for the okay, so this is the boilerplate here. And this is the public key, so it's okay if you guys see that. Okay, so I'm going to put this, oh sorry, we don't need that. This in that custom Algolia.js I made. Cool. And now this is the markup. So I'm going to grab this, and this is going to go in our search partial. So this is a search partial. This is the original search we had. I'm just going to put it on top, and hopefully they don't interfere with one another. And I'm going to use this CSS themed, which is pretty much the CSS for this. So let me just grab this, and I'm going to do the same thing like we did for our JavaScript. So where's public? Right here, CSS. Let's make a new one called Algolia.css. Paste that in, and we're going to make some modifications here. So leave that, and we have to add it to those 4 pages again. So where am I going? Shop, extra CSS, what is this? CSS Algolia.css. So let me just copy that and do the same for the rest of them. So product, cart, and search results. Cool. Okay, so if I refresh, there should be 2 search boxes here now. Hopefully that worked. And there we go. Here is the Algolia one, and here's the one from before. So some minor tweaks I want to do here. Search for players. Obviously we don't want that. So if we go into the search partial, just name it search with Algolia. Okay, cool. And then I want to make this as long as this. I believe I specified in my CSS 350 pixels, and I think this is only 300 pixels. So here, 300 pixels. So just change that to 350. And there's another one. This is the drop down where the search results go. Change that to 350. And actually, let's see if this works. Okay, it doesn't work yet. Let's see what's going on. Actually, did I refresh that? That should have been How come it's not changing to 350? Actually, sorry, it's 400 pixels. So 350 is 400. Check that out. There you go. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Check the console. Okay, so let's go into our JavaScript. So Algolia. So this is products. And this is the number of hits. So change it to 10 and see if that does anything. Okay. Value of undefined. So down here, okay, so there's no team because that was the example. So this should be price. And because price is not a key, we don't need to do the highlighted result. So yeah, that should do it. Hopefully, and now hopefully this works. And it does, there you go. It's searching our database, and it also highlights it. So let's make a few more minor tweaks here. I'd like the highlight to be a little bit more visible, and the hover I'd like to be more visible. So again, this is just in our CSS. I think it's somewhere in here. Where is it? Okay, so this is the hover. I'd like this to be a bit more visible. So I'm just changing the alpha. Okay, it's a bit more visible. And also the thing that's highlighted is this. So let's change it to like 0.4. Is that too much? Maybe 0.3. Okay. Try 0.3. Whatever you want. Okay, that's good to me. Okay, let's make this more dynamic. The first thing I want to do is there's no error message, or not error message, but like there's no message that says there's no results. So to do that, back to our JavaScript. If we make another method here called empty and take in the result, then we can just return the message here. Sorry, we did not find any results for, and let's put that in quotes. Actually, like this. So that, and then I'm going to concatenate result.query is what you typed into the text box, and let's close that quote. Let's see if that works. So let's type in some gibberish, and there you go. Sorry, we did not find any results. Cool. Okay, the next thing I want to do is when we click on one of these results, I want this to go to the actual product page. So if we add something here, let's see, empty. Okay, so right here, if we add this method, again, this is in the documentation, so just give it a read. But this listens for when you select one of the items. So this suggestion is just the object that's selected, and that has everything we need. So I'll just open up DevTools and show you what I mean. If I select one of these, you'll see it here in DevTools. And that nothing showed. What happened? There it is there. So we have the slug, and that's all we need to generate the URL that goes to the appropriate product page. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's just do window.location.href. That will just go to a new link. And window.location.origin just takes the origin of whatever URL you're on. So it takes out all these extra parameters. So if I do window.location.origin, this should return Laravel e-commerce example.test. There you go. So let's use that. And we want to append /shop, and we want to append suggestion.slug. And that should do it. Once we click on it, it should go to the appropriate product page. So laptop 1 or laptop 11, there you go, it works. Cool. Okay, the next thing I want to do is add more fields to this results view. For example, I want the details to show up, so I want this to show up as well. And this is probably too long, so we'll leave that out. But like I said, I want it to appear underneath, and we also have to change this to cents. I mean to dollars. So a few things that I never figured out. Maybe if one of you guys know, please let me know in the comments. One is you can't inspect this. If you try it there, it disappears. And if you drill down, oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. If you drill down, the farthest you'll get is to this data set. So it kind of sucks that you can't inspect it, which was difficult in figuring out how to add like additional information here. I just did trial and error until I got it right. Also, there is an option to use templates here instead of just putting all your markup in here, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to do that. So if someone knows how to do that, please give me an example, because I tried for hours and I couldn't figure it out. So we had to put all of our markup in here. So because I had to do that, I'm going to use ES6 template strings because it's just a bit easier to work with when we have markup combined. Okay. Sorry, I forgot the equals. So what I realized here is this container that it's being put in is actually a flex container. So if I, for example, if I add one more field here, if I just did this, let me just show you what I mean. Hello. Then it's going to have 3 items in one row. Let me just take this out. This might not make sense to you, but just bear with me. So now it's going to have 3 items in a row because it's a flex container and it's justifying it with the space between. And you can see that in the CSS. So space right here. So I wanted a new row, but I couldn't do that unless I took this out. So let's take this out. And now you'll see that they're not in a row. Actually, we have to take not this out. We got to take the display flex out. So if I take that out, then you see that they're just pushed up against each other. So okay. So I played around with the markup until I got it right. And here's what I came up with. We're not going to do this because it gets messy, but we'll use that as a base. And here's what I came up with. Okay, so I'm going to make a new container. Call it Algolia result. And then in this container, this is going to be a flex container as well, and it's going to contain a span. And what am I going to put in here? I'm going to put the name. So this right here. And I'm just going to put that in a variable. And the next item, oh, I can't use emit in here, is going to be the price. So if I just copy that, we want a dollar sign, suggestion dot price, but we're going to divide by 100 because it's in cents. And we want it in dollars, and we can use the to fixed to make sure there's always 2 decimal places. And let's close that span. And why is there a squiggly there? Probably because we're not returning it. Return markup. Okay, let's see if this works. This should be, I didn't do the CSS yet, so it should look weird. And it doesn't work. Missing, oh sorry, I forgot a bracket here. There you go. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, it's not styled yet. I have to style this. So if I go to Algolia CSS and I add a new one down here for that container we just made, so it was Algolia, what did I name it? Algolia result. And we're just going to display flex, justify content, space between, and align items, center. And this should look exactly like it did before. It does, cool. We have the dollars working. So you're probably wondering, what did that do? So what this allowed me to do is, it allowed me to add another row, which is what we're going to do now. Let's add another div. Class equals Algolia details. And we should wrap it in a span, and we can just do this, but instead of the name we can do the details, and close that, close the div, and that should do the trick. Now we should have another row with the details. And we do. Cool. But as you see, it's not highlighting the text we're typing anymore. That's just a CSS issue, which is right here, I think. We don't want it to be the direct descendant, so we can take that out. We don't want it to be the first child, so let's take that out, and we don't need this anymore. Let's see if that works. I just wanted to highlight. It doesn't work. Let's see what is going on. Oh, sorry, we don't need that comma. Okay, let's try it again, see if it highlights. And it does. Let's see if it highlights. It does. Cool. So another cool feature that I want to add is maybe have the image, just a really small image, show up here. So we can do that as well. back here, we can just add another flex item in here, which is just an image tag. And we'll worry about the src in a second. Let's put the alt tag in there. Let's give it a class so we can control it with CSS. So how are we going to get the source? We already have that. Since we have the image here, we just have to prepend the URL. So let's go ahead and do that. So the source is going to be window.location.origin / suggestion.image. And that should do it. Now, it might be a giant image for now, but let's just check if it works. And it does. So all we have to do is just change the CSS of this so it's not gigantic. I also want to maybe change the text of this detail section to be a bit lighter. So let's go ahead and do those two things in our CSS. So Algolia thumb, and let's just give it a max width and a max height. So 35 pixels, and same with the height. Oops, max height. And for the details, let's just change the color. Color, I just picked a random lighter gray. And let's see if this works. Hard refresh. It did not work. Did I spell that right? Let's check if the... Okay, so the details text changed, but what's going on here? Oh, forgot an opening quote here. Awesome. There you go. It looks pretty good. Actually, you see how there's 3 items and they're being justified with the equal amount of space? I sort of want this to be on the left side here, close to the image. And I think I structured my HTML. Yeah, so I want this to be inside of this span, so there's only 2 flex items. Just like that. And then put the image right here. And that should do it. There you go. That looks much nicer. TV. Okay, cool. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to use Algolia to make our search experience that much better. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.